Chapter 1. The Cosmic Connection. Imagine the vastness of space, the cold quiet between the stars, the endless black ocean stretching in all directions. Somewhere within that infinite stillness, picture two tiny particles, almost unimaginably small. They float apart, drifting through the emptiness. Light years separate them. Whole galaxies spin between them. Their worlds could not be more distant, and yet, somehow, mysteriously, they remain connected. Touch one, and the other responds. Observe one, and the other instantly reveals its state. No signal, no messenger, no delaying, not even the tiniest fraction of a second. It's as if the universe whispers between them through a channel outside of space and time. Breathe slowly, and imagine that invisible connection weaving through the cosmos like a silver thread, fine as moonlight, delicate and yet unbreakable. This is entanglement, a silent bond that forms when two particles share a quantum state, an intimate handshake encoded in the mathematics of the universe. Once that bond exists, distance becomes irrelevant. It's as though the universe keeps a secret ledger, remembering that these two particles are one, and refusing to treat them as separate things again. Let that thought sink in. The universe remembers its connections, and perhaps so do we. Space-time and the illusion of separation. As your breathing settles into a slow rhythm, consider how deeply we rely on the idea of separation. We believe that things here are not the same as things over there. We believe that distance creates independence. We believe that a cause must travel, must carry energy, must move from point A to point B. But in the quantum world, these assumptions begin to crumble. Entangled particles ignore distance. They ignore time. They act as if they are not two objects, but one extended being, like two hands of the same cosmic body. When you measure one particle, you collapse its possibilities, its cloud of uncertain behaviors, into a single definite state. And instantly, the other particle collapses too. Not a moment later, not after a delay. Instantly. It is as if the universe chooses a single outcome for both at the same time. This is why Einstein resisted it. To him, nothing should outrun light. Nothing should connect faster than a signal could travel. And yet, here in the silence of the quantum realm, something does. Something real, something measurable, something undeniable. A quiet defiance of everything we expect space to be. A slower breath and a deeper mystery. Feel your breath settle into an easy wave. In and out, like the motion of galaxies drifting through the cosmos. As you relax, imagine that beneath everything you see, beneath matter, beneath energy, beneath space lies a shimmering field of probabilities. A realm where particles don't exist in fixed positions, but in overlapping waves of possibility. In this realm, boundaries blur, particles merge and separate like ripples on water, and entanglement arises naturally, like two ripples meeting and forming a single pattern. Nothing forces it, nothing commands it. It simply is. Just as two musical notes create a harmony when played together, two particles create a shared quantum state when they interact. A bond that persists even when they drift apart. Imagine that bond as a soft, glowing thread, stretching across the universe, never breaking, never weakening, connecting two points with a silent pulse beyond the reach of time. As you continue to listen, let your mind drift gently through this image. A cosmic tapestry woven from invisible threads, each thread a connection between particles, each particle a note in the quiet symphony of existence. Encountering Einstein's doubt, Einstein believed the universe should make sense. It should be orderly, rational, local, nothing unreal or mysterious. But entanglement challenged this deeply. When he studied it, he imagined two boxes separated by a vast distance. Open one box and you instantly know what's in the other. To Einstein, this felt like a cheat, as though the universe was hiding something. But later, experiments more precise, more direct, proved he was wrong. Not because Einstein was foolish, but because the universe is far stranger than even he imagined. Entanglement doesn't just predict connection, it demands it. The mathematics insists upon it. The experiments confirm it. The universe reveals it. And slowly, scientists realized the problem wasn't entanglement. The problem was our understanding of reality. The web beneath reality, as your body continues to relax. Imagine peeling back the surface of the world, beneath atoms and molecules, beneath the laws of classical physics, beneath everything familiar is a hidden web, a quantum web, a network where particles are not independent objects, but nodes in a vast interconnected field. Entanglement is not a glitch in this system, it is the system. It is the true nature of reality revealing itself. Every interaction creates a connection. Every connection reshapes the pattern, and the universe becomes a single entangled whole, an intricate fabric woven from countless relationships. Your mind drifts, your breath slows, and you begin to sense the quiet beauty of this idea, that nothing exists alone, not in the quantum realm, and perhaps not anywhere. A universe that remembers. Think about the relationships in your own life, the people who have shaped you, the moments that changed you, the feelings that linger, even when time has passed and distance has grown. The quantum world hints at something profound. That connection may be more fundamental than location, more enduring than separation, and more powerful than distance. Entangled particles behave as if they remember one another. And while we cannot say that human relationships are quantum, there is a poetic parallel, that some connections once formed leave echoes that ripple long after. In physics and life and consciousness, connection leaves a mark, a symmetry, a resonance, a thread, drifting deeper into stillness. Let your eyes grow heavy, your mind wide and open, your breath soft as drifting mist. For the next stretch of time, we sink even deeper into the mechanics of entanglement, but in a way that stays gentle, soothing, and unhurried. Imagine two particles interacting, colliding, touching, exchanging energy. That moment imprints a shared signature on their quantum waves. From that point forward, their states are no longer independent. They become part of a single equation, a single description, a single reality. When you measure one, its wave collapses, its possibilities condense into a definite value, and because the particles share a wave, the other must collapse too. Not later, not after a signal, not through space, but as a single unified event. It is as though the universe treats the two particles not as two things, but as two expressions of one deeper entity. You may begin to sense the implications. Perhaps everything that has ever interacted remains subtly connected. A shimmering web linking galaxies, particles, and maybe even living beings in a quiet, hidden harmony, beyond the illusion of here and there. As you listen, you may feel the edges of your awareness blur slightly, becoming softer, more fluid, mirroring the quantum world itself. Entanglement tells us a bold truth, that the strict boundaries we draw between here and there, between this and that, are illusions of scale. At the deepest level, the universe is continuous, a single, seamless whole. Distance is a convenience. Space is a stage. But beneath it lies unity. Two entangled particles are not far apart. They are one structure unfolding in two locations, like reflections in two mirrors, like twin flames of one candle, like the same note played on two instruments, different yet inseparable. And perhaps beneath the surface of your own life, you can sense echoes of this same unity. Moments where meaning arises, not from isolation, but from connection. The hour deepens, and so does the wonder. As the narration continues, your mind gently drifts between understanding and imagination, between the science of entanglement and the quiet awe it awakens. The quantum world is not a riddle to be solved, but a landscape to be explored. A realm where symmetry replaces separation, and where information flows in ways we can witness, but barely comprehend. You are now more than halfway through this chapter, and like a soft current we continue deeper, the stillness of the quantum sea. Picture the quantum world as a vast, shimmering sea, a place where particles rise like bubbles from hidden depths. Each bubble a possibility. Each possibility a path the universe could take. When two bubbles form side by side emerging from the same wave, their destinies intertwine, not metaphorically, literally. Their states become linked. Their probabilities merge. Their outcomes bind together. That is entanglement, not just a connection through space, but a connection through possibility itself. As one bubble rises toward the surface and collapses into a single result, the other crystallizes instantly. Two outcomes, one event, a unity expressed twice. A gentle closing for chapter 1. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts dissolve into a soft, expansive calm, and allow this understanding to rest quietly within you. Entanglement is not a trick of physics. It is not an odd exception. It is a glimpse, a rare, delicate glimpse, into the true nature of existence, a nature built on relationship, on unity, on threads of connection that weave through every corner of the cosmos. Chapter 2. The Entanglement Blueprint. How the universe weaves its invisible threads, asterisk, asterisk. This is Chapter 2. The Entanglement Blueprint. The Cosmic Forge of Connection. Imagine the earliest moment of the universe. A time before galaxies, before stars, before even light had fully separated from darkness. A time where everything was so compact, so hot, so unified, that separation had no meaning. In that first instant, particles didn't exist as individuals. They existed as relationships, patterns, entangled expressions of a single cosmic event. And although billions of years have passed, the universe still forges entanglement the same way today, through interaction. Every time two particles meet, touch, exchange energy, or arise from the same process, they step out of independence and into unity, like dancers whose hands join and never truly part, like ripples on a pond that overlap and become one pattern, like two leaves drifting down from the same branch carried by the same breeze. Once connected, the universe refuses to treat them as separate again. Sink deeper into your breath and imagine these connections forming all around us, constantly, invisibly. Threads of relation weaving themselves into the fabric of reality. The quantum world is not built from isolated pieces, but from these relationships. Entanglement is not the exception. It is the structure, the wave before the particle. Now imagine a single particle, but not as a tiny speck. Before you measure it, before you try to know its position or its spin, it isn't a point. It is a cloud, a soft, shimmering haze of possibility. This haze is the quantum wave function, a mathematical whisper of all the places the particle could be, all the spins it could have, all the outcomes waiting to unfold. When a particle interacts with another, their wave functions overlap. They merge. They interlace like two threads twisted into a single strand. After this merge, something remarkable happens. You can no longer describe either particle individually. You must describe them together. A single equation, a single wave function, a single entity expressed in two places. Entanglement is the universe saying, these two are now one. Feel your breath soften as that idea settles in, and imagine the delicate moment when two waves merge. The moment possibility becomes shared destiny. The spin analogy, two arrows, one choice. To understand how this plays out, imagine that each particle has a tiny arrow inside it. This arrow isn't a physical object, but a direction of a property we call spin. The arrow can point up, it can point down, or before we look, it can exist in a blur, a mix of both directions at once. When two particles become entangled, their arrows don't just mix individually. Their mixing becomes shared. If one arrow eventually collapses into up, the other must collapse into the opposite direction, or the same direction, depending on how they were entangled. The key is that their fates become intertwined. Not because they send signals, not because one influences the other, but because their wave functions are one and the same. Imagine two coins spinning through the air together, but instead of each landing independently, heads or tails, the universe flips them as a pair. Even if they land on opposite sides of the galaxy, their outcomes are bound. Two coins, one flip, two particles, one shared truth. Let yourself drift in the simplicity of that analogy, while knowing the reality beneath it is far more elegant, far more mysterious, and far more intricate than any metaphor can capture. The moment of entanglement. Picture a laboratory quiet, sterile, filled with beams of light and delicate instruments. A single photon splits into two identical photons, each one carrying half of the original energy, because they were born together from the same quantum event. Their properties intertwine instantly. It doesn't matter where they go afterward. One may travel through glass fibers, another may be sent into deep space. But the connection remains. Or imagine two electrons colliding. In that brief moment of contact, they exchange more than energy. They exchange identity. What happens to one becomes encoded into both. Entanglement is created in an instant and preserved indefinitely. It doesn't weaken with distance. It doesn't fade with time. It persists until something disrupts it, a measurement, a disturbance, or interaction with the environment. Until then, the particles remain as two echoes of one unified moment. The dance of possibility. The quantum realm is a dance floor made of probabilities. Particles glide across it like dancers tracing invisible patterns. When two dancers meet and synchronize their steps, their movements become linked, even after they drift apart. Their choreography remains shared. This is the essence of entanglement. It isn't the particles themselves that are connected, but their possibilities. When you measure one dancer's final step, you collapse the choreography into a single motion, and instantly, the universe must reveal the corresponding step of the other dancer. Not because one dancer tells the other what to do, but because the choreography only makes sense when viewed as a whole. A whole that spans distance. A whole that defies time. A whole that exists beneath the surface of everything. Let your breath fall deeper, and feel how this idea softens the boundaries of separation. How it hints at a universe not defined by isolation, but by continuous relationship, the oneness of the wave. Here's the most mind-bending truth of the quantum blueprint. Entangled particles are not two things. They are one thing, one wave, one equation, one entity expressed in multiple locations. To measure one part of the wave is to measure the entire wave. To affect one is to collapse the whole. Distance becomes irrelevant. Space becomes flexible. Location becomes secondary. The quantum world does not care about where things are, only how they are related. And once two particles share a connection, that relationship transcends the limits of space-time. This is not magic. It is not mysticism. It is the mathematics of reality. Mathematics that has been proven again and again in countless experiments. Let your mind breathe in the vastness of this truth, and allow the awe to settle gently within you. A quiet moment of reflection. As your body relaxes further, consider this. Every atom in your body has interacted with countless others throughout the history of the universe. Every particle that makes you was once embedded in stars, in cosmic dust, in the early plasma of the newborn universe. You are built from interactions. You are woven from entanglements. You are shaped by relationships that began long before Earth existed. In a very literal sense, you are part of the universe's quantum memory, not separate from the cosmos, but intertwined with it. Let that understanding rest softly in your awareness, like a candle flickering in a quiet room. The long descent into the blueprint. For the next stretch of time, we continue deeper into the mechanics, the subtleties, the invisible architecture of entanglement. Imagine the universe filled with countless particles, electrons, photons, quarks, each one a tiny wave of possibility. These waves overlap constantly, They merge, separate, collide, and recombine. Every overlap is a chance for entanglement. Every interaction a moment of shared destiny. Entanglement is not rare. It is constant, universal, endless. It is happening right now in the air, in the warmth of your skin, in the light traveling from the screen to your eyes, in the atoms vibrating in your bones. You are immersed in a sea of entanglements, a cosmic web that binds everything together in ways we can barely begin to fathom. The blueprint is not local. In our daily lives, cause and effect follow clear lines. You touch something and you feel it. You speak and someone hears. But in the quantum world, cause and effect are not constrained by distance. Once entangled, particles behave as if they exist not in two places, but in one shared quantum space, a space outside physical space, a realm beneath geography, a domain where the rules of distance do not apply. Physicists call this non-locality, but the word barely captures the strangeness of it. It does not mean particles send signals faster than light. It means the concept of signal is irrelevant. They are one system, one wave, one entity. Measurement merely reveals the shape of that entity, and in that moment of revelation, distance dissolves. A swift landing into stillness. Allow your breathing to deepen. Allow your muscles to soften, and let your thoughts drift like dust in a warm beam of light. Tonight, you have explored the blueprint of entanglement, not just the idea of connection, but the machinery beneath it. You have drifted through wave functions, through spin states, through collisions and births, and shared probabilities, and slowly, gently, a truth begins to take shape. Entanglement is the universe's signature, a reminder that separation is a convenient illusion, a hint that everything, absolutely everything, is part of a single unfolding whole. Chapter 3, Whispers of Entanglement. Imagine yourself stepping back in time, back to the early 1900s, when quantum mechanics was still a newborn idea. Physicists were just beginning to realize that the universe behaves in ways far stranger than classical logic allowed. It was during this time that a young, brilliant physicist named Erwin Schrödinger introduced the word entanglement to describe a relationship so deep that two particles could no longer be understood separately. But the world was not ready. Even Einstein rejected it, calling it spooky action at a distance. And so, for a while, entanglement remained an idea suspended in theoretical space, beautiful, haunting, but unproven. Like a constellation waiting to be explored. It would take decades, and the relentless curiosity of many minds to bring that constellation into clear focus. As you breathe softly, imagine those early theorists working late into the night, papers scattered, chalk dust floating, seeking answers the universe guarded closely. Their work would become the first step toward the experiments that transformed physics forever. The Bell Revolution. Now imagine the quiet presence of another physicist, John Stuart Bell. In 1964, Bell published a theorem that shifted the entire landscape of physics. A theorem so bold, scientists didn't fully understand its consequences until years later. Bell proposed a question. If the universe is local, if nothing can influence anything else faster than light, then entangled particles must obey certain statistical limits. These were called Bell inequalities. But if entanglement is real, truly non-local, then experiments should break those limits. Bell's theorem created a test, a line drawn in the sand, a way to distinguish between two visions of reality: a classical universe governed by local cause and effect, or a quantum universe woven from instantaneous connection. Let your thoughts drift into stillness, and imagine the delicate beauty of this idea, a simple mathematical inequality, holding the power to decide whether Einstein was right, or whether the universe was far stranger than even he imagined. This was the pivot point, the moment humanity moved toward the truth. Experimental breakthroughs. Now let your awareness float forward into the 1970s, where the first real tests of Bell's idea began. Imagine a quiet laboratory in Orsay, France, filled with beams of light and finely aligned mirrors. Two physicists, John Clauser and Ailing Aspect, set up an experiment to create pairs of entangled photons. These photons were born from the same source, linked by their shared origin, their properties intertwined. The experiment sent each photon to a different detector, far enough apart that no communication, no hidden signal, could pass between them. The measurements began. Clicks of detectors in dark rooms, a dance of bright pulses, data flowing like faint whispers. And when the results were gathered, they showed something unmistakable. The Bell inequalities were violated. Entanglement was real. Einstein's local universe had shattered. It was the first great echo, a confirmation that the quantum world's strange promise was not just a story, but the blueprint of reality. Let yourself soften into that revelation. The universe had revealed a secret it had held since its birth. Aspect's experiment, a deeper confirmation. A decade later, Ailing Aspect returned with an even more refined experiment, one so precise it removed nearly every doubt. This time, the detectors changed their settings. While the photons were already in flight, no signal could possibly keep up. No hidden variable could coordinate them. Yet still, the entangled photons behaved as one. Instantly, synchronously, perfectly, like twin heartbeats separated by kilometers, yet beating in exact harmony. Aspect's experiment became the cornerstone of modern quantum physics, a quiet triumph that echoed across the scientific world. Even Einstein, had he lived to see it, would have had to bow to its clarity. As you breathe slowly, feel the elegance of this moment. Human curiosity meeting cosmic truth. Entangled photons travel the world, now drift forward into the early 2000s, an era where technology began to catch up with theory. Scientists started to create entangled photons capable of traveling great distances, not centimeters, not meters, but kilometers. Imagine a photon traveling through a fiber optic cable, from one side of a city to another, while its twin travels in the opposite direction. Urban lights flicker below. Data pulses through millions of wires. Cars glide through busy streets. Yet above all of it, two photons remain silently connected. No matter where they go, no matter how far they drift. This was the first hint that entanglement might someday form the backbone of a new kind of communication, a quantum internet, capable of secure, instantaneous correlations across any distance. Let your mind drift with those photons, carried through the night, weightless, timeless, forever linked. The mountain experiments, crossing open air. Next, imagine two mountains, their peaks dusted with snow, separated by dozens of kilometers. On one peak, scientists release a stream of entangled photons into the cold night air. On the other, detectors wait, silent instruments watching the sky. The photons must cross open air through wind and turbulence and shifting temperature. Yet they arrive intact, entanglement unbroken, connection preserved. This was more than a scientific triumph. It was a symbolic moment, a demonstration that entanglement could stretch across the natural world, as silly as across a lab table. As your breath softens, picture those tiny whispers of light, bridging vast distances of dark, open sky, threads of connection woven through the night. Quantum satellites, entanglement in space. Now lift your awareness upward toward orbit, where humanity launched the first satellite built specifically to test quantum entanglement on a global scale. This satellite, gliding silently above the Earth, its instruments glowing softly against the darkness, sent entangled photons to two distant ground stations, thousands of kilometers apart. And still, the connection held. The measurements matched. The quantum thread remained unbroken. For the first time in history, entanglement had stretched across continents. This was not a theory, not a metaphor, not a speculation. It was real. It was measurable. It was happening right above our heads. Let your mind drift over Earth's curve, imagining beams of delicate quantum light falling from the sky, carrying within them the fingerprints of entanglement, a cosmic spiderweb glimmering in the dark, the human-scale experiments entangling bigger things. As your body deepens into comfort, we drift toward one of the most astonishing developments. Scientists have begun to entangle not just photons and electrons, but larger and more complex systems. Tiny diamonds, small mechanical oscillators, atoms at opposite ends of a laboratory, even lumps of matter big enough to be seen with the naked eye, are beginning to display entangled behavior. These breakthroughs whisper something profound. Entanglement is not limited to the microscopic world. It may extend into the scale of everyday life. If only we learn how to preserve it. Imagine holding a tiny crystal between your fingers, a diamond so small it sparkles like dust. Now imagine that tiny diamond is entangled with another diamond across the room, their atoms vibrating in perfect quantum harmony. This is not fiction. This is happening today. The frontier of entanglement is growing, and with every new experiment, the boundary between the quantum world and the world we inhabit fades a little more. The delicacy of entanglement, but entanglement, for all its power, is fragile. Like a soap bubble shimmering in sunlight, it collapses when disturbed. Physicists call this decoherence. The moment the environment whispers too loudly and the quantum connection dissolves. A stray photon, a vibration, a molecule brushing too close, any of these can break the spell. This delicacy is why entangling large objects is so difficult. The bigger the system, the more the universe tries to measure it, to interact with it, to pull it back into classical behavior. Yet each year, scientists push farther, finding new ways to shield, isolate, and protect these fragile quantum threads. As you rest quietly, imagine entanglement as a candle flame in a gentle breeze, fragile, shimmering, yet capable of illuminating entire worlds. The human quest for understanding. Let your breath flow softly, and picture the faces of the scientists. Behind these experiments, eyes focus, hands steady, hearts filled with curiosity. Their pursuit was never about breaking nature's laws. It was about understanding them, revealing the hidden architecture behind the world we see. Each experiment, from Closer's early work, to Aspect's definitive tests, to satellite-level demonstrations, brought us one step closer to seeing the universe as it truly is. Deeply connected, beautifully unified, stranger than imagination, and yet more precise than any machine. This is what makes the experimental confirmation of entanglement so powerful. It is not merely a scientific achievement, it is a spiritual one, a reminder that the boundaries we see are not the boundaries of reality. The gentle closing of Chapter 3. As you relax into the final moments of this hour, let your awareness soften like dusk settling over a quiet landscape. Tonight, you've traveled through decades of discovery. You've witnessed the experiments that transformed entanglement from theory into fact. You've followed photons across laboratories, across cities, across mountains, and even from space to Earth. And through all of it, one truth became clear. Entanglement is real. It is measurable. It is woven into the universe with precision and elegance and quiet power. Chapter 4. Beyond the lab, implications for reality. Imagine the comforting idea that the world is made of separate things. You are here. Another person is there. A mountain rises in one place, a star burns in another. For centuries, this has been the framework of human understanding. A universe of isolated objects, interacting only through contact or signals. Cause and effect. Locality. Separation. But entanglement whispers a different truth. A more fluid truth. A reality where the boundaries between things are softer than they seem. Where distance is not a barrier. Where information does not need to travel, because it is already shared. As you sink deeper into calm, imagine the universe not as a collection of objects, but as a single unfolding event, a unified happening, a connected field where every point touches every other point in ways we cannot fully see. Entanglement suggests that beneath the surface of classical reality, everything is part of the same underlying whole. You are not separate from the universe. You are an expression of it. The question of free will. Now, let your thoughts settle, like dust drifting through a sunbeam. In a connected universe, what happens to the idea of free will? Are our choices independent, or are they part of a larger flow? Entanglement does not take away choice. Instead, it suggests that choice may be woven into a deeper structure, a structure where events are linked in ways too subtle, too instantaneous, too foundational for us to detect in daily life. Picture yourself standing on a quiet shore. Waves roll in, you pick up a stone, you decide to toss it into the water. On the surface, it feels like a simple, personal action. But zoom out, expand your awareness, and imagine that your decision is part of a grand, interconnected movement. A ripple inside a ripple, inside another ripple. Quantum physics does not tell us that everything is predetermined, but it does challenge the idea that events are isolated. When two entangled particles behave as one across immense distances, it hints that the universe may be less about individual parts making choices, and more about the whole unfolding in harmony. A harmony you are part of, a harmony you contribute to, a harmony that breathes through you as you breathe with it. Causality, before and after lose their meaning. Entanglement stretches not only space, but time. In classical physics, cause comes before effect. A pushes B. Event 1 leads to event 2. But in the quantum world, the arrow of time is not so strict. Imagine two entangled particles being measured. One here, one light years away. We measure the first. Its state becomes known. Instantly, without travel, the distant partner mirrors that outcome. But which measurement happened first? If two observers are moving differently through space, they might disagree. One might insist, I measured my particle first. The other might firmly believe, no, I did. And here's the incredible truth. The universe does not choose. There's no objective order. Cause and effect blur together. Before and after become relative. Time, as we know it, loosens its grip. Entanglement whispers that events are not linked by a chain stretching from past to future, but exist in a web, a timeless network of relationships. As you breathe softly, let that idea wash over you. Reality may not be a sequence, but a pattern, not a line, but a tapestry. Not a story of this happens then that, but a simultaneous unfolding of interconnected states. Consciousness and the quantum mirror. Now take a slow breath and allow your awareness to drift inward. One of the most profound questions entanglement raises is this. What role does the observer play? In classical physics, observation is passive. You look at something and nothing fundamental changes. A tree is a tree. A rock is a rock. But in the quantum world, observation is active. To observe a particle is to reshape its state, to collapse possibilities into a single outcome. So what does that mean for consciousness? Are we participants in the unfolding of reality? Do we help bring certain aspects of the universe into form simply by witnessing them? We are not talking about magical thinking, but about a subtle relationship between mind and matter. Some physicists believe observation is just a mathematical feature of the theory. Others suggest consciousness might play a fundamental role. This is not a solved mystery. It is a quiet frontier. But here, in the soft stillness of this moment, imagine the possibility that awareness itself may be connected, entangled, woven into the universe, not as a spectator, but as a partner. Perhaps your consciousness is not separate from reality, but a lens through which the universe experiences itself. Entanglement in technology, a new dawn. Let your breathing become smooth and gentle. We leave philosophy now and drift toward technology. Entanglement is not just a thought experiment. It is becoming a tool, a mechanism, a foundation for technologies that could reshape civilization. Picture a computer that does not work through zeros and ones, but through quantum states existing simultaneously in superposition. A machine that can solve certain problems not in millennia, but in minutes. This is quantum computing, a realm where entanglement becomes the fuel, the connective tissue, the engine of unimaginable speed. It might break encryption. It might create unbreakable encryption. It might simulate molecules so precisely that new medicines, new materials, new energy sources emerge from the quantum fog. And then there is the dream of quantum communication. Messages transmitted not through cables or radio waves, but through entangled states. Instant correlation, zero chance of eavesdropping, a new kind of security. This is not fiction. It is happening now. Labs around the world are already sending entangled photons across cities, across mountains, and even between Earth and orbiting satellites. We stand at the beginning of a revolution that unfolds quietly, softly, in the invisible fabric of the quantum world. Entanglement and the intuition of connection. Before we close this chapter, let your awareness drift gently to this final idea. Humans have always sensed connection. The way you think of someone and they suddenly call, the way emotions ripple through a room, the way relationships feel deeper than simple biology. Science cannot confirm these intuitive feelings, but entanglement shows that at the deepest level, connection is not a fantasy. It is a feature of reality. Perhaps the sense of unity humans often feel in moments of silence, awe, or love echoes a deeper truth buried in the quantum foundations of the universe. A truth that says, nothing exists alone. Nothing stands apart. Everything participates in the same cosmic dance. And you, lying here in the quiet, are part of that dance. Part of the pattern, part of the web. Let your breath slow, let your mind soften, and let the idea of connection settle into you like a warm, peaceful glow. Chapter 5. The Future of Interconnectedness. A New Era Awakening. Imagine waking up a decade from now, stepping into a world where entanglement is not just a scientific curiosity, but the foundation of our most powerful technologies. In this future, quantum mechanics is no longer confined to textbooks and laboratories. It flows through communication networks. It powers new forms of computation. It shapes medicine, security, climate science, and discoveries that today feel almost like whispers of science fiction. As you breathe slowly, imagine the world blanketed in a soft, invisible network. A quantum fabric connecting satellites, research centers, homes, and devices. A web of entangled particles stretching across continents. This is the quantum internet. A system not built from metal towers or fiber optic lines alone, but from entanglement itself. Instant correlation, unbreakable security, communication beyond the reach of traditional limitations. This is not a dream. It is a destination humanity is quietly, steadily moving toward. The quantum internet, communication reimagined. Picture two distant cities, one nestled in a mountain valley, the other stretching along a glowing coastline. In today's world, signals travel through wires and airwaves, slowed by distance, limited by interference. But in the quantum future, communication takes a new form. Imagine two nodes, one in each city, each holding a particle that is entangled with the other. No matter the distance, no matter the obstacles, these particles remain connected. Information is encoded not in the particle itself, but in the relationship between them. A relationship that cannot be intercepted, cannot be copied, cannot be hacked. And in this vision, messages no longer rely on transmission, but on correlation. A gentle shift in one corner of the planet, reflected instantly in another. As your breath slows, picture how quietly, how invisibly, this future arrives. No noise, no drama, just the universe's own laws unfolding into human hands. Quantum computers, engines of the impossible. Now imagine stepping into a quiet, cool room, lit only by soft blue glow from a sealed chamber at its center. Inside that chamber is a machine unlike any that came before it, a quantum computer. A device that computes not by choosing between possibilities, but by exploring many simultaneously. It does not walk through solutions. It drifts through them. It considers entire landscapes at once. Problems that would take classical computers millions of years dissolve in minutes. Simulations too complex for any supercomputer on Earth become solvable. Picture a world where scientists can design medicines atom by atom, can simulate the folding of proteins, can model the climate not with approximations, but with perfect quantum precision. Picture energy grids optimized with quantum accuracy, materials engineered with properties we can barely imagine today. Ultra strong, ultra light, superconductive. Picture the ability to decode biological mysteries and solve logistical challenges so complex they were once considered unsolvable. All of it, built on the same phenomenon Einstein once dismissed as spooky action at a distance. Let your mind drift with the thought that the universe hides tools in its deepest layers, and we are only beginning to unfold them. Entanglement in medicine and biology. As you relax deeper, imagine the future of health through a quantum lens. Picture doctors using entangled sensors so sensitive they can detect disease at the earliest molecular shifts, before symptoms ever surface. Picture quantum imaging devices revealing structures inside the human body with clarity far beyond today's technology, capturing details so fine they appear almost impossible. Picture personalized medicine driven by quantum simulations, where treatments are custom-built based on the exact behavior of your molecules, your proteins, your cells. Imagine a world where illness is caught early, treated precisely, and understood deeply. In this future, quantum science is no longer only about particles. It becomes woven into the story of life itself, understanding the brain through quantum windows. Drift deeper still. The brain, that quiet humming universe inside your skull, is still one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Some researchers speculate that certain biological processes may exhibit quantum behavior, from photosynthesis to enzyme reactions to possibly even the faintest sparks of consciousness. Nothing is proven. Everything is open. The future may hold discoveries that reveal quantum patterns woven through the architecture of the mind. Imagine instruments sensitive enough to detect these patterns, to measure the subtlest transitions of neural states, to observe the mind not just electrically, but quantum mechanically. Imagine therapies built upon that understanding, tools that align with the brain's natural quantum rhythms, treatments that guide mental states not chemically, but through resonance and coherence. As the breath flows gently and evenly, picture a future where healing, thought, and consciousness itself become illuminated by the glow of quantum insight. The cosmological horizon, a universe of entanglement. Now let your imagination expand outward, beyond cities, beyond Earth, beyond the solar system, out to the vast cosmic ocean. Entanglement is not limited to laboratories. It is theorized to be everywhere, woven into the cosmic background, linking particles born in the first moments after the Big Bang, stretching across billions of light years. Some scientists propose that space-time itself may be held together by networks of entanglement, that gravity, geometry, and the shape of the universe may be emergent properties of quantum interconnectedness. Imagine the fabric of space-time as a quilt stitched together by entangled threads. Remove the threads, and space, time, and distance themselves might unravel. It may be that entanglement is not just a feature of the universe, but its foundation, a cosmic glue, a silent structure, a hidden symmetry from which everything else arises. As your body sinks deeper into comfort, allow yourself to float in that idea. That connection is not the exception, but the rule. A new understanding of ourselves, Now return gently to yourself, to your quiet breathing, to the rhythm of your heart. In a world where everything is connected, where distance loses strength, where the seemingly separate becomes unified, what does it mean to be human? It means the boundary between you and the universe is softer than we once believed. It means your existence is not isolated, but interwoven. Your choices ripple outward. Your presence shapes the world around you. Your consciousness participates in the unfolding of reality. In the quantum future, humanity may begin to see itself not as observers of the universe, but as contributors to its evolution, not as separate minds, but as participants in a vast interconnected whole, a whole that stretches from the neurons in your brain, to the particles beneath your skin, to the stars circling in distant galaxies. You are not alone in the cosmic expanse. You are part of the pattern, part of the symmetry, part of the great interconnected story that the universe is telling. The journey continues. As this chapter reaches its gentle close, allow the ideas to settle softly within you. Entanglement is more than physics. It is a window into a universe far more unified, far more mysterious, and far more beautiful than our senses reveal. The future will not arrive all at once. It will bloom gradually, quietly, like dawn spreading over a silent horizon, but piece by piece, moment by moment, discovery by discovery, we will step into a world shaped by quantum interconnectedness. A world where the deepest truths of the universe, connection, coherence, unity, become part of everyday life. And as you breathe slowly and drift gently into rest, know this: you are made of the same fabric that binds stars together. You are woven from the same quantum threads that link particles across galaxies. You are part of the future the universe is unfolding. A future of connection, a future of wonder, a future where the invisible web that holds reality together becomes the foundation of a new chapter in human understanding. Rest in that thought. Let it hold you. Let it soothe you. Let it guide you into a peaceful, expansive stillness. The journey into the quantum realm does not end here. It begins with you, with your awareness, your curiosity, your place in the cosmic tapestry, and the universe, in all its interconnected beauty, continues to unfold. As we drift to the end of this journey, allow your breath to settle into a calm, steady rhythm, and feel the last quiet echoes of the quantum realm fading gently into the stillness around you. Tonight, you explored the invisible threads that bind our universe together, threads of connection, threads of coherence, threads that stretch from the smallest particles all the way to the largest structures in the cosmos. And now, as your mind softens, let every complicated thought, every lingering question, every spark of curiosity slowly dissolve into a peaceful, quiet glow. You are part of this vast tapestry of existence, woven into the universe, entangled in ways deeper than space or time can describe. And as you settle into rest, remember that you are never truly separate, never isolated, never alone. You are connected to yourself, to others, to the cosmos itself, always. So let the body grow heavy, let the breath grow slow, and let sleep rise up to meet you like a soft, unfolding wave. Thank you for journeying into the quantum realm tonight. If you found peace, wonder, or stillness in this exploration, I invite you to join again, to drift with me into more mysteries, more worlds, more quiet corners of the universe. For now, rest deeply, dream widely, and may the fabric of existence cradle you gently into sleep. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Good night.